Welcome back in, everyone, to another edition of the 7D Chipcast. I am Robertson Vire. That is Ben Parker. Welcome to the Football Enterprises YouTube channel. If you're not already, please get subscribed immediately. Don't wait around. Just go ahead, pause the video if you need to. Just hit subscribe on there. Click that notification bell to get updates whenever Ben uploads on his channel here. We do Commanders focused stuff. This is Ben's season right now, talking prospects. Like every couple days, he's uploading a video about a new prospect, doing mock drafts, doing all kinds of stuff here on the Pro Football Enterprises YouTube channel. So make sure you get subscribed to that. Ben, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing great, and you're right. I love this almost as much as I love watching football. Not quite. There's not much that's better than watching football, but the off season comes close. I really do enjoy studying it, and specifically the Commanders here. So, kind of working our way through, seeing what they're doing and what we do or don't like about it.
Yeah, so no big news since our last episode. The biggest thing was Jerome Ford was signed. He was the Cleveland Browns running back for 4 or 5 seasons. He's a decent running back. Nothing to write home about. Just a solid depth signing. Kind of that, I guess, still in that third round or third down back mold, more or less. Maybe more of a rushing ability than a normal third down back, but nothing special. Just kind of filling out that running back room. So, we're gonna do a mock draft later on this evening, but the big thing that we discussed a little bit last week, but something we kind of want to touch on a little bit more this evening for a while is we raised the floor. Okay, that's pretty clear. If we get ravaged by injuries again, our depth has improved enough at this point, along with whoever we add in the draft, that we're still going to have to we're still going to be able to field a competent football team, a competitive football team. Now, is it going to win you 13, 14 games? Probably not. But what it's going to do is it's going to keep you from being down 2 touchdowns right out of the gate. It's going to keep you from, being embarrassed on national television multiple times throughout the season. I mean, ideally, everything going to plan. Uh, so that's what that does. But the question is have we done enough to raise the ceiling of this team? Okay. I would say probably at this point the roster is better. I have updated depth chart here that has Jerome Ford there. I also re-signed Jeremy McNichols. I forgot to mention that as well. He's been big the 2 years that he's been here, so glad that we brought him back. Is this enough with a healthy Jane Daniels um, to be back in a contender spot? Because honestly, I think this is a better roster top to bottom at the current moment in time than it was in 2024. We had a lot of 1 year deals, a lot of veterans that were playing bigger roles than they probably should have been. Um, we still had, if you remember, we still had Emmanuel Forbes in 2024. We still had, and we had traded for Marshawn Lattimore, but obviously he didn't play a ton until the end of the season and all that. Even when he did play, it wasn't all that great. Um, Granted, we did have Jonathan Allen. He was still playing better than what he has played past couple seasons, but um, we've improved in certain spots, certainly. I think it's again top to bottom a better roster overall. So, but does that mean that we're going to the Super Bowl then? Because 2024 we went to the championship game. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I would agree that we're slightly better, and I totally agree about us having raised the floor, especially on defense. So let me start there on the defensive side of the football. Bringing in Oweh and Chenal, I felt like both of those are definitely going to raise the floor. We should be able to get more pressure on the quarterback, and we should be better at stopping the run, and we should just have more solid players out there a higher percentage of the time. So that helps. And like you said just a minute ago, it should keep us from getting run out of the building against some of these high scoring offenses like the Lions and Cowboys last year, right? So that'll help. I don't think it's anywhere near enough. Goodness gracious. I still look at safety and that makes me queasy. Our defensive backs are okay, not great. Defensive tackle is okay. I mean, it's nothing special at all, and we still don't have enough guys who can get after the quarterback. We've got one and a half, I guess, right? So it's nowhere near enough, but I mean, it hopefully should keep us from being the 32nd worst defense in football and maybe help us be the 27th or 28th, and that is a big difference. I can go on all night about that. Having said that, I think we're a little worse on offense right now. We still don't know who our starting center is going to be, so I think that's a knockdown. And then we basically, at the moment at least, we've switched out Samuel for Okonkwo, and I think I would give Samuel the slight nod in that, but not a lot at this point in their career. So I think we've lost a little on offense. I think we've certainly stabilized on defense, but what's going to help us get ahead on defense? What's going to help us get to the middle of the pack? And I don't think we're there yet.
No, I don't. And, we're going to talk about who we can add in the draft, potentially at 7, potentially trading back. We're going to talk about that in a little bit and how we can raise the ceiling for that. Um, However, there are still several free agents out there of our own free agents that we have not signed yet. So, is there anyone that we have not brought back yet that you would be very willing and if you believe it's necessary to bring those players back at this point in time?
Yeah, I mentioned two players just talking with you before the show started, and I'm definitely in on one, and I think I'm still in on the other. Bobby Wagner, linebacker. I would love to bring him back, but not at the $9 million mark. Something more like at the $5 million mark. And you mentioned it with incentives. I would love to bring him back into the mix. And even if we draft a guy at linebacker, that's okay. Linebacker, linebacker has been so shallow for several years now, so devalued. I have no problem with us kind of stocking up, as it were, at the linebacker spot. If we're not going to do it at another position, we may as well do it at that position and, operate with that as a strength of some sort. So I have no problem with that. I would love to bring back Wagner. What I don't want, listen, I don't want to pay him $10 million a season for a 2-year deal, right? I don't think anybody's going to do that. But what I don't want is to watch him playing for another team at $5 million a season, knowing that he could have been doing that for me at $5 million a season. So that's the one. The other one is Zach Ertz. I know we brought in Okonkwo, but if we're not going to be able or wanting to bring in, let's say, two of the wide receivers that are out there on the market right now, you pick your two, they're probably going to run us if they're difference makers at all. They're probably going to run us anywhere from 18 to $22 million a year, right? So if we're not wanting to do one or two of those, why not bring back Zach Ertz at tight end, and have, a bit of a two tight end setup there. Um, I would be interested in that as well because Ertz has been productive. So that's something right there. I just don't want to enter next year with this collection of pass catchers we've got here at the moment. It's not enough. We really need two more guys, to be honest. So if we're not going to do it at wide receiver, we should at least bring back Ertz to give us a number of pass catchers to work with. Those are really the two guys. It's not going to, if they bring back any of the other guys on the cheap, that's totally fine too. But those are the two guys for me that I'm interested in bringing back.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you about Wagner. I've been saying that I think we should bring him back, and Chenal bringing him in. Well, I think it does upgrade the defense. I don't think it upgrades specifically the Mike linebacker position. I still think that at this time that Bobby Wagner is a better Mike linebacker than Chenal would be. Um, and that's mainly in my mind due to a experience and just overall football IQ. Bobby Wagner has an insane football IQ. Like he can identify stuff, before like he's crazy. He's like Luke Kuechly style, like football IQ, like Luke Kuechly level of that. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer for a reason. Okay. And he's still, even at, he's going to be turning 36 here before the season starts. he's still a tackling machine. Okay, so you add that to a Chanel and a Frankie Louvu, Jordan McGee, and if you bring in, for example, a Sonny Styles, he's still going to be productive. Now, is he an every down middle linebacker? No, but he's still going to be a leader of this defense. And that's something that I desperately want because right now I don't see the leader of the defense in in this group of guys here. I don't see the leader. Um, Now can one step up? Certainly, but I don't see him yet. The second guy that I would add, I do agree with you about Ertz. The only problem that I have is okay, you have Okonkwo as more of a receiving tight end. He's a willing blocker, but he's not known for his blocking. And Zach Ertz kind of fits that same profile. He's a willing blocker, but he's not great at it. So unless Bates or Sinnott go down, then you bring in Ertz. But again, Bates and Sinnott at this point in their careers, they're still more blocking tight ends. So you're losing out on that. I don't know if they would be, if the coaching staff and the front office would be like, well, we need a blocking tight end. I'm not sure that Ertz kind of fits that description. I totally agree with you in the fact that you have two tight end sets with Okonkwo and Ertz, and that's going to be, hell to deal with for defenses because of the Okonkwo with his ability to run after the catch, get separation. And Ertz is great at finding soft spots in zones, and he just has that rapport with Jaden already established. I mean, that's a tough two tight end set to deal with, but again, I don't know that he fits with, if Bates or Sinnott need to be replaced in terms of blocking. I don't know that he fits that mold. And if you just sign him as it currently stands, then either Bates or Sinnott are not going to be active, if everyone's healthy. So I just don't know that at the current moment there's a place for him because of everything, whoever Bates and Sinnott being on the roster still healthy. Um, and again, I just don't know that you're getting enough. If you have Okonkwo and Ertz on the field at the same time, I just don't think that helps you. Like it's kind of going to be a tell that you need to pass, that you're passing the ball. The other person that I would add, I mean, he hasn't been signed yet by anybody. He probably won't be, would be Eddie Goldman. I know you brought in Tim Settle to play nose tackle more likely than not, and I'm sure he's going to rotate in and out with Deron Payne. Eddie Goldman, showed flashes last year. He was not at all consistent. Let's be clear about that. But would I trust him more than a Shy Tuttle at this point? Yeah, I think I would. He showed a lot more than what Shy. I didn't even know about this dude, Shy Tuttle. So them bringing him back and this Ricky Barber guy back, I have absolutely no allegiance or knowledge about these players. So my apologies if they've done something elsewhere. But I know Eddie Goldman last year, again, had his moments, and I think that he can still help. I don't want him playing like 60 to 70% of defensive line snaps, but if he can play 20, 30%, as a backup nose tackle, and he can make an impact, play or two a game, stuff in the hole or something like that, filling up gaps, because he's just a big man. Um, he's just a load to deal with. I'm fine with that. Now you might be able to find something a little bit cheaper, as in terms of undrafted free agent. Yeah, sure. But I mean, I think I'd rather just take the experience and know what I'm getting with Goldman and put him in there.
Yeah, I agree on Goldman. You bring up a great point. Especially for depth and rotational purposes, I would way rather bring in Goldman than a UDFA, or even a seventh round pick. Give me Goldman. So totally agree. Plus, we get somebody in who was with us last year, so we get to keep that continuity. So I agree about Goldman. And quickly going back to the tight end thing, you're right on the blocking side. If you have Okonkwo and Ertz out there, you know, you're missing out on the blocking side of it, and you are doing a passing tail. But what's happening right here now with the roster, we're just running out of ways to improve it. The free agency field is shrinking. Guys that would make any kind of an impact are largely gone, not completely. And, we just don't have that many draft picks. So unless we're going to take that seven pick overall and trade back, which we might, and collect some, a pass catcher in there. I actually like your idea that you mentioned last week about, let's just get Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers and let's collect Jawan Jennings, and, boom, instant better wide receiver room, right? But if we're not going to do that, a really cheap way to just get more pass catchers on the field is to bring Ertz back. And so, at a certain point, depending on what they want to do and why, I'm just looking to collect pass catchers, and we'll have to figure out the blocking thing, whether that's put in a sixth offensive lineman and go with a completely big set. You just start to get a little desperate here because at the moment, while I have hopes for McCaffrey and Burks, they've shown nothing as far as being able to consistently produce. And Ertz at least has done that. So I'd almost rather just go with a big set and, let's either drop a running back out or let's drop a wide receiver out and we'll have two pass catching tight ends. Not every play, of course, but, a healthy percentage of the time, just getting pass catchers out there.
Yeah, and now I don't know how true how substantial this claim is, but I saw a potential rumor that the 49ers are looking to trade Brandon Ayuk. That's why they're hanging on to him. And apparently they would want Luke McCaffrey in a trade with Washington. I don't know that I would do that because not because I don't want to get rid of Luke McCaffrey. I don't think I want to take on his current contract
Okay.
as it stands. I would rather give him a 1 year heavily incentive laden deal as opposed to damaging our wide receiver depth. Now, granted, I know it's Luke McCaffrey. I mean, I feel like he's made some strides in his first two years as a receiver, but I don't want to take on Brandon Ayuk's contract as it currently stands. And I know that a lot of the guarantees and stuff have already been, settled, taken care of, but I just still don't want it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm looking up the Ayuk contract right now. Okay. So, um, yeah, it's a great point. The 26 number actually is not bad. It's at 14.6, so probably a bit of a deal there. But the 27 number is at 41 mil. The 28 number is at 43. I'm looking at the dead cap. You could get out of it for about half the dead cap and then one fourth of the dead cap. After 27, 28. But still, what you'd probably end up doing, depending on what you'd have to give up, I wouldn't mind giving up McCaffrey in that involvement there at all. But yeah, after 1 year, you kind of sort of need to do something financially. You'd either have to let him go after 1 year, or you'd have to restructure the deal. So not great. I agree.
Yeah, again, I don't necessarily mind getting rid of Luke. It's just I don't want to take on the contract. Um,
Yeah, it's a large one.
yeah. So, anything else on the current roster? Any of the pending free agents we currently have?
Yeah, I think that's about it as far as this goes because we hit a bunch of this, and even for a lot of you watching the show itself only came out, 2 or 3 days ago. So we've hit a bunch of this. We're right in the middle of it, okay? We're not pronouncing judgment yet. We realize there's more work to be done, but the heavy wave of free agency came and went. And while we got two guys we like, I don't know that we got I don't know we got anything earth shattering here, So stay tuned. Still a lot of work in progress here.